Hello and welcome back to Bobbin's Minecraft Let's Play featuring the Hoarder's Delight mod. I'm Bobbin and you're watching episode 7. You are looking at the new power generation system in my base. This system actually makes quite a bit of difference. I now have all the power I need to run all the machines I have. I haven't quite completed rewiring the whole base. Unfortunately, I've been having some resource shortfalls, particularly with respect to redstone and iron. But things are coming along nicely, and I hope to have those resolved fairly soon. This system consists of 15 crucibles heated by blazing pyrotheum, driving 20 magmatic dynamos. The other system, which is much smaller, is still in place. It's powering very little of the base right now, just the stuff that I have not finished rewiring. Eventually that system will go away. This system is expandable. This module is 3 blocks wide, and I've already prepared a spot here to put the next module when I need to add more power. I can then take and continuously work out that direction, adding more and more of these modules. Before we get too far today, let me go ahead and finish quests. Today I want to finish 3 quests. The first quest I would like to complete is the last of the hoarding warm-up quests, Future Forest. This will get the Zavicio boots, and with that I will have the full set of Zavicio armor and I will be able to fly. The second quest I would like to complete today is the hoarding energy quest, Generation. I managed to make 1,000 survivalist generators. They all got turned in, and I'm ready to claim the reward. A lot of the iron and redstone went into making this item. I did have to go and manually work the machine some to get it to work because it kept having shortfalls of various things, and when that would happen, the crafting machines would fill up with the wrong material and they wouldn't have any slots to bring other items in. I do have a solution to this problem over the long term. I'll have to use this solution quite a bit when it comes time to do the Botania quests. I didn't set it up for this one, but I will probably set it up and demonstrate that in an upcoming episode fairly soon. This quest is a particularly important one because it gives access to the Deep Dark and Ender Quarries. The last quest that I would like to turn in today is in Hoarding Stuff, and it's in or out. I managed to get all the doors complete, so the oak wood is now going to the planks quest, and this quest gives 127 elevators, which I have no idea what I'm going to do with 127 elevators, but I'm sure I will use some of them at some point. Other quests that are still in progress are in Hoarding Blocks. We're 4% done with House. The reason this one is not progressing very fast is that all of the clay that's coming through to make these bricks is just coming from a sludge boiler. The sludge boiler does produce quite a bit of clay for routine sorts of use, but to make stuff on this massive scale, it's just not adequate. I will have to set up a system to convert dust into clay to get enough clay to finish this quest. None of these others are being worked on yet, but now that I have the ability to fly, I will probably try and find a silver bell sapling so that I can begin this one fairly soon. In Hoarding Stuff, Bouncy is 34% complete. Rubber bars are actually fairly slow to smelt. It's not generating them at full capacity because it's only 2/9 of the full tree farm, but it is making progress. None of these other quests are being worked on. However, I do anticipate setting up today Smeltery and getting this one started. I've already turned in 64 furnaces. That was just a manual turn-in of some that I had sitting in my inventory. And once I start an Ender Quarry running, I will also begin stop staring and press it, because both of these items will involve smooth stone, which will begin to come in a substantial supply using an ender quarry with silk touch. In Are You Out of Your Mind, cobblestone is still 0% complete, even though almost 2 million cobblestone has been generated and turned in at this point. Gravel, sand, and dust all have trivial progress. They probably will not get a lot of progress anytime soon. Oak plank is 53% done and progressing rapidly as the tree farm generates oak planks. So that's our current status on quests. The next thing to look at is what's going on in the world of farming, because in order to continue with quests in the hoarding food section, I'm going to have to generate some materials to make these foods from. The cow has been moved. Apologies to those of you who are upset by this scene of a cow in a cage all by itself hooked up to a machine. This is a cow milking machine. It passes buckets between these two autonomous activator. Empty buckets come here and are filled with milk. Milk-filled buckets go here and are emptied into the tank, and the empties then recycle back over here where they're clicked against the cow to generate milk. This is an alternative to the Mine Factory Reloaded Rancher, and it's a pretty good alternative because really the Mine Factory Reloaded Rancher, although it worked okay for making cakes, it's pretty slow, and you would need a lot of them and a lot of cows. It has a deliberate delay on milking cows, which the game does not actually require. You can milk a cow as fast as you can click buckets against it. So we've accumulated a little milk here. I'm not doing anything with it yet, but I will quite soon. When I do that, I will go ahead and hook up a permanent power supply to this as well. Right now it's just using this redstone energy cell. I'm currently standing below the farms that use Ender IO to generate magical crops. The block you see before you that's doing the pulsing thing is called a growth pulsar. This block, when placed below the dirt level beneath magical crops, enhances their growth rate. It can be stacked up to 4 levels deep. In doing so, it significantly enhances the growth of the crops. It's kind of expensive. Each one of these blocks involves 4 blocks of magnesio and a diamond, but it will significantly enhance the growth of the crops. And it can be put down as a single layer, or a double layer, or a triple layer, or even 4 layers. I don't know if 5 enhances it further, but 4 layers is quite fast. I don't know that I'm going to go 4 layers deep. I have left room down here to do that, but I am at least going to go 1 layer deep under all of these farms as the diamonds become available. Looking at the Ender IO crop fields from above, you can see that I have expanded somewhat. I did get a capacitor in this field containing magnesio, so it now covers the full field, and the 2 smaller fields now have farming stations installed and are growing crops. This one is growing vibrant alloy, energetic alloy, diamonds, and enderium. This one is growing redstone, skeleton seeds for bones, and enderman seeds for ender pearls. The redstone seeds probably will not stay permanently. As I mentioned before, I've had a lot of trouble with shortages of redstone and iron. I put the seeds down as a way to enhance production. One thing you can do, which I don't really recommend, but if you desperately need redstone, you can just hold a watering can over this and it will grow redstone essence fairly quickly and pile some up. So even though I was having trouble with redstone, in an absolute emergency I could produce some redstone manually, and I would have some. The other thing I've been doing on the farming front is I have set up a cocoa farm. At the moment there are no cocoa beans in it. I have tested it and made sure it works. Just use that creative mode flying here. The particular pattern that the wood is laid out here is specifically designed to efficiently cover all of the area with cocoa beans with the least amount of wood. When I supply cocoa beans to it again, it will start growing the beans. They're very productive. It doesn't take long at all to get a whole barrel full of cocoa from a field this size. I have again expanded my cobble generation and grinding cobble into gravel. I have also doubled, although it's not huge yet, the grinding of gravel into sand. This particular layout keeps extending back with these pulverizers, and it can continue to extend back until the power is insufficient to power all of the machines. Since igneous extruders don't use power, that means that I can extend it back 32 rows before I will run out of power for the pulverizers. Maybe not 32, maybe only 16 in this case. Some machines only use 20. I have also expanded sifting some, not much. Resources have been a little bit of a problem, in part because I've been spending them on things like this vibrant capacitor bank that's part of the energy distribution network. The new network is the green cables, and each green cable goes into a capacitor bank at a particular bay or station, where the power comes out of the capacitor bank using the older red cables, since there is not as much need for so much power to move through the system. This allows a great deal of power to move through the green system, which is the main backbone, while still providing adequate power with cheaper materials for the individual stations. I finished making my 100,000 blueberry smoothies for the delighted meals, and the machine is now making blueberry juice. In order to store these for a longer term, I want to put them all into a single cache. These caches were good for counting out exactly 100,000. This cache holds 160,000 and will hold all of the smoothies without having to take up so much space. So those should transfer fairly soon. It's currently working, as I mentioned, on blueberry juice, and the snowballs are just sitting there. They're not being used. And I'm 33,000 into the blueberry juice. Once I get 100,000 blueberry juice, I will be done with blueberries and can not only break down this machine and use it for some other purpose, I can clear out the blueberry field and plant something else there. This machine made the doors, and I no longer need it to make doors, so I'm going to repurpose it. After clearing the schematic, I can reprogram the schematic to make furnaces. The machine is not making furnaces because it expects a redstone signal, but it will get one if I come over here and choose smeltery, and program it onto that machine. It looks like I may not have the filter program to bring in cobblestone. Let me get rid of this stuff and I'll be right back. So this machine is now making furnaces, and the quest is already 1% done and progressing rapidly. The next thing I would like to set up today is I would like to take this machine, which was making the survivalist generators, and break it down and start having it make stone buttons. So the first thing I need to do is just break all this down. And I may have to do some running back and forth. What I will actually do is come over here. Well, I'll unload some cobblestone and get a couple of chests. And just set them down to unload stuff into temporarily. Alright, for buttons I'm only going to need one cyclic assembler, but it is going to need to be emptied out. I'm going to just go ahead and submit all of these furnaces that I have on hand, since I don't need a bunch of furnaces. And I am going to set this up to accept anything from the top slot, nothing from the sides, and it will still eject out the back, just like the old one did. I will set it up to respond to a redstone signal, just like it did before, and clear the schematic. Grab some stone. And program it to make buttons. It's not making buttons because it is not receiving a redstone signal. Now I just need to hook it all up. I'll set it to insert smooth stone. And it looks like I'm going to need 2 power cables that I probably put away when I was putting all that stuff that spilled all over the place away. So now we should have power, and we should have at least the ability to get items in, whether there are any items in there or not. Incidentally, this is something I don't think I have ever shown before. You may notice that all this area is well lit. but there are no visible torches. That's because the torches are in the floor, like this, covered by covers. If you put a torch flat on the floor like this and cover it with a cover, the light will show through, but the particle effect will not, so there's no evidence that there's a torch. You do have to be careful, though, not to put the torch down like that, because then the particles will show through. So that's just a good way to conceal your torches if you don't like to see them, but you still want everything well lit. To make sure that this is going to receive stone, I'm going to come over here. There were 4 stone in there. I'll grab a stack of stone and I'll toss it into the distribution point. And verify that it did show up over here. So everything looks good. I'll come over here and pick the stone button quest, select the task, program it in, and it will immediately craft buttons and submit them to the quest. 68 buttons submitted. The reason for going ahead and setting this up is I'm about to set up an ender quarry, and an ender quarry will have all the smooth stone, and I need to do something with it. I don't want to just send it all to an inventory and accumulate a large supply of it. Cobblestone is full. Alright, before I can set up the inventory, I need to make sure that I can handle all of the items that are coming in and that I can go ahead and supply it with the necessary power. And I'm going to use tesseracts to do that. I have already made some tesseracts. And I'm going to set up the first one to transmit power out. To do that, I'm just going to set it up right here. And I'm going to create a new channel. We'll just call it channel 1, and I will call it main distribution, since this is just where everything will sort of go and there's nothing special about it. So we've set this to main distribution, and I am going to configure it to be blocked for items, blocked for fluids, and sending energy. Back up here, I need to be able to do something with the items that I have received. So I'm going to put a tesseract right there. I'm also going to set it for main distribution. And this one is going to receive items, blocked for fluids, and blocked for energy. Then I'm going to get my ender quarry along with some ender markers. I'll have extras, just bring a few extra just in case. And a silk touch upgrade. That sort's in a different position. That's interesting. And the first place I'm going to quarry out is down here below my base. My base is more than 5 blocks high, so I don't have to worry about the quarry shaving off the bottom of the base. I am going to set this ender quarry up so that it gets everything. It will basically do everything, not including the edges where the ender marker are. So by putting this on the elevator, it will go right up to the elevator, but it won't actually do anything with the elevator. And I am going to come straight out this way. Do note that my Y level is at 64 because I'm going to have to be at that same level. I will also have to be on this same position here, which is x minus 343. Alright, so I have placed an ender marker here. We can see particle effects shooting over towards the ender marker, which means that it has been placed in a good spot. It is able to connect up to the other one. So in this next direction, I need to be at Z184. This one is not correctly placed. If it had been correctly placed, I would see the particle effect. And rather than be rigorous about it, I'm just going to play a guessing game. Alright, so this one is now also connected. Now I need to connect both of them. So I am going to need the other coordinate that I didn't mark down. I'm kind of used to using landmarks from Buildcraft for this sort of thing. This one is at x minus 409. Incidentally, the reason for choosing this particular location first is it includes my big mining hole, and I will be able to go down in there and see that everything was replaced with dirt. So this one is at Z94. Alright, so this is the correct location to hook up with both of the other ender markers. Now to go back to the location where I plan on putting the quarry. So all I have to do is put down the quarry, attach the upgrade, and I'm going to program this tesseract before I put it on there. This one is also going to be on main distribution. It is going to send items, block fluids, and receive power. And it will keep those settings when I pick it up with a wrench. And to just start this thing, I can plop it right there on top of the tesseract, and I always have trouble seeing the particle effects when this thing is working. It should be working now. Looks like I'm getting some overflow on flint. I should be able to see smooth stone coming in here. Or if I can't see that, then buttons being made, and I don't yet. So something may not be working. Let's go back down and just see what the Tesseract or the Ender Quarry says it's doing. Maybe I had to click it to get it started, but it is scanning blocks now. We can see that it's increasing. And I still don't see that particle fount. I always have trouble seeing it. It's very small. The fact that it's dark will just make it harder to see. Alright, it must be going here because it's replaced sand with dirt. There we go. So because it's going in the desert, I will be able somewhat to track the progress just by seeing where it has replaced sand with dirt. This will run for a while. It's not a huge quarry by any means, certainly not by the standards that you can get with this Ender Quarry. I'll probably go ahead and set up a much larger quarry in the deep dark now that I have a portal there as well. Right here. Now I can just put this down somewhere. And anytime I want to go to the deep dark, I can just take and stand on this thing, and I think you jump to activate it. I'm not going to try it right now. So I think that will conclude it for this episode. I've made some good progress here, and I'll be making some more by the time you see the next episode. We'll probably have the button quest done, and we'll probably also have the what was it? The furnace quest done. It's already at 6%. And I will probably also be setting up a machine or two to start working on some of the additional food quests. I'm also going to need to start looking at Botania for the Hoarding Flowers chapter. All of this stuff is fairly problematic, but I do want to get started on it, and so I'll have to set up a Botania area and start doing something with that. Aside from the quests on this page, another one that involves Botania is this one right here, the Living Rock Brick. Living Rock will probably be one of the first things I work on, so it may be that this is the first Botania related quest that gets started. Anyway, thanks again for watching, and I will see you in the next episode.